Yes, so the history is International Civil Aviation Day falls on December the 7th every year, and it's proposed to help raise and strengthen worldwide awareness of the importance of international civil aviation to the social and economic development of nations.
Now, the International Civil Aviation Organization, or ICAO, established the celebration in 1994 as part of its 50th anniversary. Following the efforts of the ICAO and the Canadian government, the United Nations declared the date as the International Civil Aviation Day in 1996. Now, this year's theme is Advancing Innovation for Global Aviation Development, which will remain in use until 2023.
So actually, this is the official Awareness Day from United Nations, and International Civil Aviation Day is a United Nations or UN annual observation day, officially declared by the UN in 1996.
It's good that we are celebrating this because I'm pretty sure everyone likes to fly, but we need to know more in depth about aviation.
Of course, and today is celebrated as International Civil Aviation Day. Therefore, it's only fitting that our guest today is an Ervhan who will give us some insight on civil aviation.
Yes, let's invite Indonesian Pilot Association Technical Director and A320 Captain, Fauzie Ervhan. Captain Fauzie Ervhan Ardiansyah. Good afternoon, Captain.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Captain. So thank you for joining us because I heard that you just had a rough scheduled flight due to the weather currently.
Right, and you're on board right now.
Well, it's
virtually.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for inviting me in this special day, especially for us as a pilot, as an aviator. We celebrate for the International Civil Aviation Day. Thank you very much.
So, Captain, really, first and foremost, what do you think of the current civil aviation facilities and services in Indonesia? I mean, in the past couple of years, it's been developing so quickly.
Well, if we talk about the aviation industry, especially in Indonesia, we're talking about before the reformations and after the reformations, and totally different because we are more open to about the regulations. To taking care about the safety first. That's the slogan for the aviation. We have to put the safety on the top of everything.
Right, so the safety.
And then until now, the government's doing the good job, making the regulations for all the airlines, for the commercial, for the private corporations. They're making a good rules for safety and everything. They will give a punish if the company makes something wrong, and then will give the reward if the company making something achievement.
So talking about the theme for this year, the theme for this year's International Civil Aviation Day is Advancing Innovation for Global Aviation Development. So what do you think about this theme? I mean, let's say we are doing this activities post-pandemic. You think this is a relevant theme for this year?
Yeah, I kindly relate to things, but to be honest, until this time, the industry in Ireland is still tough, very tough times, especially after we're becoming to the post-pandemic, but we're having a problems. Another ones, there is a war between Ukraine and Russia.
Right.
Then making the increasing about the fuel price. That's why very, very hard for the airlines to sell the ticket for the people for traveling. Because during the pandemic, there is so many restricted for the people traveling with the air travel, such like they have to do the vaccine, they have to do the test for the PCR and everything. That makes hard. But now, even they can allow to travel feel free, but they have to pay for the surcharge for about the fuel price.
Yeah, indeed, especially during the holidays right now. I was actually just checking a ticket from Jakarta to LAX to Los Angeles. It was...
And how much is it now?
It was, it is not reasonable at all. It's very different than a couple of years back.
It's not reasonable, right?
It is not
Because
reasonable.
the price is very high.
Yeah, but indeed, if you want to meet with your loved ones, especially when you're, separated, I mean, that's the only way to go. Of course, you're going to take your airlines. Now, Cap, we're going to talk about safety, as you were mentioning before. We know, I mean, this always been like the talk that using an airplane is the safest transportation mode among all, whether that's in sea or land itself. So how would you describe flight safety, though, in Indonesia?
Well, according to the percentage about all the mode transportation in between the air transportations, the sea transportations, land transportation, the air transportation is still the best for people for traveling because the safety is way better than other transportation. Then I make sure for the people who want to traveling with the airlines, especially in Indonesia, Indonesian airlines now is way better to put the safety in top of everything.
So in your opinion, we're already complied with the civil aviation safety regulation then?
Yes.
As per international standards.
It's a compliant all because if we cannot comply the safety from the regulator, especially from the government, have requirements, we cannot fly. There is so many restricted for the airlines to airplane to fly because I give you example. The pilot is restricted to fly maximum 9 hours a day. But in between a day to weeks, we restricted for 30 hours only. So let's say we cannot fly 9 hours a day.
Wow.
And then we have to, they have a daily check for the airplanes. They have a daily checks for the health for the crew. Even we have to sign on for the first flight of the day, we have to check our blood pressures, drug tests, and everything.
Yes.
Every single time we have to go to flight.
Wow. I mean, that's just something that we don't get to see because that's something that like, because I don't know, for me, it's always, it's great to hear and to see that safety is the #1 because, well, at the end of the day, you are bringing hundreds and hundreds of passengers with you. And of course, safety will be the first issue. But speaking of from a client, from a flyer perspective, we're always really curious about this. Like, many are probably curious about factors behind flight delays, right? This is just a common thing, but please elaborate. What usually happens when flight delays happen? Because sometimes we already see the plane right there and we're ready to board, and yet flight delays still happen. So from a pilot point of view, what are usually the factors that are very common?
Well, because during this time, after the pandemics, the people is still, a lot of people traveling using the air transportations. The air traffic controllers, they have to regain again about for the peoples to, and then the airport facility, sometimes they have not enough persons to taking care of the flights. And then because that, and then we have to wait for the slot times. In an hours now, let's say we talk about the Soekarno-Hatta Cengkareng, in an hour, especially in the rush hours between 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock, they have to taking care about 60 or 80 aircraft an hour.
Wow.
To taking off
60 to 80, oh my God.
That's why, that's why sometimes we have a delay for the slot time.
Yeah. And thank you for elaborating for us. Now, you were mentioning, Kai, about the delays. This one, Cap, this is more personal for me because I've been traveling. I think we've all been traveling since we were babies. I have families back in the United States. I live here in Jakarta, long flight hauls and whatnot. A year ago, I think I have a very traumatic experience, and every time I fly now, I felt so gibberish. I have like cold sweats and whatnot because there was a turbulence in the Pacific Ocean. I think it was Tokyo all the way to LAX. So we have to go across that, right? The turbulence, like, it lasted for an hour and 30 minutes because I remember I was watching the watch. I was praying, my mouth couldn't stop. And how is the turbulence? You know, because it seems like everything was shaky. You can hear the sound of the air or whatever, the turbulence and whatnot. What does actually happen when that time? And do you, as a pilot, have a control? Please let us know, because you know these things would happen again.
There is a two type of turbulence. First, the turbulence that they create by the cumulus nimbus cloud that you can see by eyes. But the other ones, the one that you're talking about, is a clear air turbulence. That's why we cannot see any turbulence in the air, because we can see just clear sky, blue sky. But there is a turbulence between that planes.
So you cannot go
then
under.
We cannot predict it.
Oh, okay, I
We
see.
cannot predict it, but if we can see the cloud, the cumulus nimbus, the rain cloud, we can see in the radar, and then we can see by eyes. But for the clear air turbulence, one can expect it.
Yeah, I was actually asking the stewardess, can the airplane go higher, maybe lower? So just go past this? Like, why are we going through this?
Sometimes the pilot, to avoiding the turbulence, they go down or they're going up. It depends on the weight of the aircraft. If they can go up, that's why maybe the aircraft is not too heavy. But if they want to avoid the turbulence, they're going down to avoid it.
Well, Cap, I hope you know that I was holding 3 of my children, and I was thinking if I would, we're gonna land in the water, I'm gonna swim, I'm gonna push my kids out. Like all those pictures in my head.
Oh my goodness! Wow, the panic of a mama.
Right. But thanks, we have Captain Ervhan right now
Exactly.
who give a lot of explanation for our all of curiosity. And talking about this year's theme, and you are also as a technical director from the Indonesian Pilot Association. So what you and your friends want to propose regarding to this year's theme to the civil aviation in Indonesia?
Well, the first thing is I would like to campaign about the safety of the air transportations. That's our concerns in our Ikatan Pilot Indonesia. Safety is number one. There is no one replace it about safety. That's why we still campaign to all the stakeholders. We collaboration between the governments, with the Indonesian Pilot Ikatan Pilot Indonesia, and then we collaboration with all the airlines. Such like I'm working with the one of the airlines in Indonesia. We collaboration with the safety persons in which airlines, and then we're making a coffee morning to discuss everything about the safety issue.
All right.
Well, certainly great things, and perhaps one last thing, since we are now finally recovering from COVID-19 pandemic, how would you currently describe the current aviation industry during the economic recovery? And what are your hopes for the upcoming future?
I'm so optimistic in the next years, into 2023. I hope in the not late in middle of 2023, the airlines will be much stronger, and then safety is number one personally. That's it. But during this time, it's still tough for the airlines because the fuel price is not going down. Still, higher price now. Just need for the. That's it.
And well, whatever happens as of right now in the current state of politics and also economic repressions, but you know that we're all behind you. We're all behind the pilots and everyone that is involved with civil aviation.
Thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
And happy International Civil Aviation Day, Captain.
Yes.
Do what you do best.
Thank you
for
very
your.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Ervhan.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
And have a great rest, Captain.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.